Hi. In this live, we're going to talk about how to have fun in life. And in particular, today, we're talking about how to have fun looking for a job. And we're going to get some great pro tips from Motard, and she's going to tell us all about how to have fun.
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you.
So, we're going to talk about how to have fun looking for a job. And before we get into all the great tips that you have, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Marie, and what I do in my coaching business is I help people advance in their career.
And how do you help people do that?
Well, for example, I help people prepare for professional exams, or I can also help professionals who are looking for a career change to take the next step
Okay.
and prepare for their interviews.
Yes. And you are a fantastic coach, and I can
Oh,
attest to
thank you.
that. And so we're talking about looking for a job, and I have spent a lot of my time looking for a job in my life. And I would love to hear what you have to say and what you have to offer. But first, I want to talk about what kind of happens when we are in this process of looking for that next step, looking for a job.
Well, the thing is, when you're looking for a job, very often people think that there are only X number of jobs available to me. So this creates a feeling of scarcity because they think, well, the number is limited, so I have to be the best or I have to fit perfectly the criteria, and it creates additional pressure on themselves. And this pressure is what makes them miss out on some opportunities. Do you want to
And
know
how,
why?
yes, yes. So how are we missing out on these opportunities? That was my next question. Yeah.
So what happens is that because you think the possibility is limited, you don't explore the potential of the market. You limit your search to exactly the same number of criteria. You don't. You only set a few criteria, and you only come up with the same offers. So very often you're just spinning. You're stuck in a cycle, and you create evidence that that there is not much job for you and that the market is limited because
Yes.
the way
Uh,
you search is limiting the jobs you're encountering. And also what you do is you automatically dismiss jobs that don't fit what you think is your profile.
yeah. So it's like we have this predetermined vision of what the market is like. Like
Yes.
what are the market that is available to us.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, we make a lot of assumptions about that market. Like we think there's only this number of jobs available to us or that'll fit, when in reality, that is not true.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And also what happens is that you get a confirmation because you compare yourself to your colleagues or to your
Mm-hmm.
friends that embrace the same career path. And you think that there is just one way to go
Mm-hmm.
and that after this position, it's this one, especially when you're trying to grow, when you're trying to reach higher, you think that the path to go high is just one way. But there are multiple ways that you miss out because you're only looking at one way to go up. And what you do is that you judge yourself, you compare yourself to others that
Mm-hmm.
have, according to you, succeeded, but it's just according to your criteria that are limited, and you judge yourself. You decide in advance that you're not a good fit for other jobs, and you might be a great fit, but because you stay in this mold, you don't give yourself permission to look outside.
Yeah, that's a really good point because that mold, it stays in our head and then that will drive how we go about looking for that job. It'll
Exactly.
drive all of the things and then it'll limit us, is what you're saying.
Especially people who are perfectionists, usually
Mm,
they have created a lot of success for themselves because of their perfectionism. But here it is not helping them because they think they need to fit perfectly the position in order to get the job, to fit perfectly the criteria. And you have to put yourself in the shoes of your employer or future employer. Of course, the position they are going to describe is going to have, like, if I could have the best candidate, he would be blah, 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 or she would be blah, 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 blah. But this is perfection, and they know perfectly that perfection doesn't exist. So this is the first thing. The other thing is that when they write the job description, sometimes they don't think out of the box. They don't think to ask for certain types of competence that would be great for this position, because they haven't thought of that. So this is another way that the offer is limited, you're limiting yourself, and the offer is limited.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean you're not the right match.
And sometimes I think when we look at, they've written a job description and it has a bunch of criteria, and they're coming from this place of like, oh, would be ideal if I could have this person, and they haven't thought about these other things. And then what ends up happening is we don't even try. And I noticed that, and I was reading something actually about how women don't even try to apply for even some of those jobs when they've just kind of written even maybe an ideal job description, and they haven't really, or maybe they even copied and pasted an old job description. They really haven't even thought about something else that could actually be of value to them.
Exactly. Especially sometimes when you go through, when it's not direct, when you go through an employment agency, very often it's just they don't have time to think outside the box. They don't have time to think about the profile very precisely. They have they have a general overview of what the good candidate would look like, but it doesn't mean because it's not written that you are not a good fit. So a lot of things you prevent yourself from trying because you think you're not going to correspond to the profile. And what you're doing when you do that is that you're failing ahead of time. You're limiting yourself, and the end result of all these action of comparing, of limiting yourself, of not exploring, not thinking outside of the box, not going for jobs that maybe you don't fit all the requirements, is that you reduce the number of jobs that are available to you.
Yeah, because you've already kind of decided you're limited, the job market's limited, and so then you've just limited that number already because you haven't applied for the ones that maybe you thought about, or you haven't thought of maybe a different type of job that would still kind of fit your needs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so interesting. So how do you then recommend, because this limitation, it doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel fun. So how do you recommend to make the process more enjoyable? Not less stressful, less negative.
Exactly. So there is a solution to make the process enjoyable. And the fact that you're going to create some fun in it, you might even go further than if you limit yourself. So for example, very often we have this urgency when we are looking for a new job. There's this urgency, and this makes us a little bit tense. And if you open up to curiosity instead of scarcity, urgency, and you look at this process with curiosity, you might enjoy it because you can think of this process not as an obligation, but as a new beginning, first of all. And also, it's the opportunity to try on some costumes. It's like you're trying different suits that you would have never thought of before, just for fun. You're going for interviews where maybe it has nothing to do with what you are doing, but you're doing it anyway. And you might not get the job because it might not, you might realize that you don't want the job, but you will definitely learn something from it about you. And the whole process becomes fun when you learn, because it's an opportunity to learn, to get to know yourself better. So what? Yeah, tell me.
Oh, no, no. So how do you suggest that you do this, like today, you're looking for a job? How do you practice that curiosity when
Yeah.
you're getting ready to do this?
What I recommend, because if you look at it like a blank page, this
Mm.
is freaking you out.
Yes.
You cannot think like, oh my God, okay, I want to do something new and I have thousand possibilities, and then you freeze. So this is not the way I recommend to proceed. What I recommend is to start with what you don't like to do. So you list what you don't want to do in the future that maybe you have been doing or maybe you haven't been doing, but you've seen people doing. And then you ask yourself, why do I not like to do this?
Mm.
What is the reason? What is it about me that make me not enjoy this part of my job? For example, if some people don't like to be a manager because they don't like to deal with people's shit. They don't like to manage a team because
That's
they
so
don't like
true.
they have a hard time. Yeah, some people love it. Some people they love being with people, working with the team, supervising, all that, and other people they don't like it. So instead of thinking, oh, this is so bad, I'm not made for being a manager, what you can do is ask yourself why. And if you ask yourself why, you might find that, well, if you don't like having a team to manage, it's because you're very independent, you're self-reliant, you're autonomous, you like to stay focused, to stay in your world. And
maybe you
then
want to work alone.
also, yeah, and you would be surprised, but a lot of people, they don't know how to work to work from home, for example, because they are not autonomous enough. So people, recruiting agencies are looking for people who are autonomous. So asking yourself why you don't like such and such enables you to find some new assets or new competence that you can put forward. And from there, when you have a list of what you do like and you want to put forward in your future career, then you can start mapping out the jobs that would correspond to you.
Yeah, because currently we tend to think like these are the job titles that would fit us, and we kind of limit it to that thing. But what you're saying is when you look at exactly what you don't like in maybe your current position or something like that, and you clear it up, like you would want to be more autonomous, it kind of then opens up that scope of what is available to you. Like you can start to look for more autonomous jobs rather than a specific job title that you had determined ahead of time, or that you had determined this path ahead of time.
Exactly. Okay. So instead of looking at the job description or the title, you can focus on your skills and then go from there. If you want to explore new horizon, it's a great way to do it. And you can have fun because you can discover things about you that you didn't know.
Yeah, that is true. And it feels more open, and that feels good. To me, that feels kind of more fun, that it feels more open and there's open to these different possibilities that you hadn't seen before.
Exactly. Yeah. So for that, what you need to do is to try to look inside your mind, see what's there, instead of spending so much time just reading job descriptions after job descriptions. Sometimes it's good to take a step back and look inside.
Okay. So your suggestion is basically look at the stuff that you don't like currently.
Yeah.
Be inquisitive, curious about it. Ask yourself why. Take that, what you don't like, and turn it into what is it that you do like. So take that and opposite. And from there, you kind of have a criteria that opens up the job market.
Exactly.
It expands the job market for you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And the result is that you find the job that fits you.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't need to fit the job. You find the job that fits you. So this is what's great about this process.
Yes. Yeah. And and it won't feel like this kind of pressure limited kind of process. It'll also be kind of something that fuels you and gets you energized to finding
Yes,
it. Yeah.
it creates a drive because
Yeah.
then you,
Yes.
the more you learn, the more you discover what you like, what you don't like. When you create clarity, then you will feel an energy, a momentum coming from this.
Yes.
And you will know, like, of course, when you start, it's always like scary to start over. But once you're in the process and you start learning, this momentum keeps you going and you might even enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, because you gave a great starting point for someone to do that today and make their looking for their next step a lot more fun. And so, if people want to work with you, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, the best way to get in touch with me is to schedule an appointment. And you can do that by looking in my bio. There is a link. You schedule an appointment and we chat, we talk, we look inside your mind, and we see what's there is there.
At your Instagram handle at Marie.
That was so
Yes,
much
thank
fun.
you for your time. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.